From the studios of Foxborough Cable Access, located in the center of Foxborough, Massachusetts, you are watching Around Foxborough.
Hello and welcome to Around Foxborough, the show where we talk about the people, places, and things that make Foxborough the gem of Norfolk County. My name is Mark Rivard, and I'm pleased to have as my guest today, Yoshie Nakayama. Hello, Yoshie.
Hi, Mark.
How are you doing?
I'm so excited. Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being on the show. You're calling all the way in from LA?
Yes. Closer than coming from Tokyo.
Oh, well, that's quite a distance, Tokyo to LA and then to near Boston. Yes. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of mileage. Mm-hmm. So you've done a lot. I was looking over your resume. I'm like composer, arranger, trombone player, singer, educator. Anything else? Did I miss anything?
I was just thinking, I've been like trying to think, is there any shorter way to describe my profession? But I'm not really only one. You know what I mean? Like some people say, maybe I can shorten the part where I say singer, trombone player, but I don't really, I was thinking maybe I can say like multi-instrument player, but it's only 2 instruments. So I don't know. It's not, it is multiple, but yeah.
Well, trombone, you said piano, right? Is it piano?
I teach piano, but I do use piano for, producing music, but I don't really state myself as a pianist.
Okay.
Because I've grown up seeing professional pianists, like classical pianists, jazz pianists, doing their thing, and I don't indicate myself one of them.
But it's still one of the instruments, right?
Yeah, but it's one of those, like for example, trombone and voice, I would happily record for studio recordings. Mm-hmm. But with piano, no.
No, okay. All right, we'll stick to the 2. The 2 that you're mastered in. Okay. Mm-hmm. So you do a lot of different types of music too, right? Not just traditional Japanese songs, which I know I've heard a couple of them, and we're going to show some. Mm-hmm. But also jazz, big band, orchestra. You do it all.
Yeah, it's just, I love them all. So I grew up in Christian family where we would go to the church service every Sunday. So that's, kind of classical music, church music. But it was not one of those contemporary church where we sing like guitar or band. It was just with organ, very traditional. And also, my mom happened to be the music director of the church for decades. So she would also play the organ, or she would also teach music at home. And she loves listening, classical music, orchestral music. Like she would take me to ballet or opera, things like that. So my fundamental music idea growing up was classical. But once I got to the music college that I went in Tokyo, that was all about classical music theory. But during that college, I was not introduced, but I saw the college's big band performing at the festival, and that was my first encounter to jazz music. And then I was blown away, and I was like, "Whoa, this is so cool! This is so different." And then I started picking up more of pop music, jazz, a cappella. I started singing a cappella back then. So I slowly getting into all sorts of different style of music from my friends, from my brothers, from educational journey.
Yeah, it's all different music styles, but it all comes from the same instrument. So you just have to figure out which style do I want to do now. It's just a different rhythm or a different beat or a different, volume, things like that.
Exactly.
But how did you get into trombone? What drew you to the trombone?
I was going to say, so I started my first wind instrument that I picked up at the 7th grade was this. If you know tuba, that's a huge bass brass instrument. But I wanted to do tuba, but I didn't know the name of the instrument. And I believed my mom, who's a musician, would know. So I described how it looks to her. And she's like, oh, that'll be bassoon. And then next day I would go to school. I described music teacher. I wanted to do bassoon. And she's like, oh, unfortunately, we don't have bassoon. but from the your lip shape, you will be good at euphonium, which basically is smaller tuba. So that worked for me. I wanted to do tuba. I started, sure, why not? I started doing euphonium, which is exactly the same range with trombone. But euphonium is not commonly used for jazz music. So I ended up doing euphonium in wind ensemble from 7th grade until I graduated the first college. But because I encountered the jazz during the college, I wanted to do jazz. But in order to do jazz, I couldn't really do it with euphonium. So I decided to learn in trombone during the college. So I could both do somewhat classical wind ensemble as well as jazz with either euphonium or trombone. And then I started playing trombone more after graduating the first college by joining some amateur community big bands. In fact, I joined at when it was a max. I think I was in 4 bands.
Wow.
Because basically all of the first band that I joined was weekly. We met weekly, but the rest of 3 bands met monthly. So that balanced my desire to perform trombone in jazz bands, I guess.
So basically, what I'm hearing is you owe your career to your mom. You also owe your mom for not having a bad back later in life from carrying that tuba around.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Moms know best. Even when they get it wrong, they get it right.
Absolutely. Even euphonium was heavy for me. Yeah. 7th grader myself. It was heavy enough.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't pick up much in 7th grade either. But I never would have even tried a tuba. You had guts to want to try the tuba because that's
never too late. Start today.
Oh. Moving along.
Yes.
Before you get me started on tuba lessons. So you went to college. You went to college in Japan, mm-hmm. But you came here and you went to Berkeley as well.
Yes, I did.
Oh, how was that?
Yeah. So the problem for me that popped out was that the education I had until the first college was all about classical music, and we did have the keyboard class where we touched about chords, like basic chords. But back then, I was not really interested in learning chords, so all those information just passed through from right to left or left to right. And so, but then I started big band, right? So I needed to be able to improvise over chord progression. And I was just winging it with using my ears, my sense. And 10 years passed, and then I decided to study contemporary music, which I wanted to do as my profession. And all the music knowledge that I had back then was all about classical music. So the wants and the skill I had didn't match, and so I decided to go to Berkeley.
Learn some of that. Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. So we were talking about your other instrument besides the trombone, mm-hmm. Vocals.
Yes.
So you've done some a cappella work, mm-hmm. And we have a video we can show.
Sure. Yes.
All right, let's show it to everybody. This is great. Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. That was incredible. That was incredible. I love that. I love a cappella.
Thank you.
And I thought that was really, really well done.
Thank
How
you
did
so
that come
much.
about? Is that a traditional Japanese song?
It is. It is. It's called Tanabata. Tanabata basically is about Star Festival that's annual on July 7th in Japan. In some Chinese calendar country, they do it the similar festival, I believe, in August 7th. But in Japan, it's July 7th. So this year, July 7th, I decided to work on this production because, it's seasonal. And yeah, it's about this myth about the stars in the sky that's supposed to be lovers. But the dad of the girl got mad about their relationship. So the dad created Milky Way to separate them. And so, so only on July 7th, if we can clearly see the Milky Way from the Earth, they are meeting in the night. So that's pretty romantic. And so we also wish for the clear night for them to be able to see. And also we wish for ourselves, wish for the year pretty much. People would wish for, getting accepted to college or getting promoted, whatever they want to be, they're wishing to bamboo trees.
Oh, that's a beautiful story. And that's July 7th is when that?
Yeah.
I'll have to write that down. Remember that. That's when I'll make my wishes.
Yeah. Not only December now.
I know. And I also love the production too on it.
Oh, thank you so much.
That was some great. Did you do that video production? Wow. You are talented. Multi-talented. Well, I knew you were talented, but I'm like, the video editing was great.
It's pretty much like whether you are rich enough to pay and hire specialists or you have to earn those skills nowadays. You know what I mean?
This is true. True. And with computers, there's a lot. It's a lot simpler back. I went to school for radio and TV production. It was a lot harder back then. Back in the dark ages before the computers came into play a lot more. So that's great. That looked like you had fun doing it too.
I do enjoy video production as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So you are teaching still? You are teaching piano?
Yes.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
So where are you teaching?
At my place since last year after the pandemic had happened. But yeah, I used to visit my students, and now I do visit students once a week, and other days are Zoom lessons.
Zoom lessons. I think those are here to stay, though. Unfortunately, it's so easy. You can access anybody in the world and do a Zoom lesson, as opposed to having somebody who lives like 10 minutes down the road. It's very nice.
Yeah. Now I have student who has 3-hour differences. Sometimes we need to reschedule. Sometimes we are like, which time zone are we talking about? Yeah, it's so fun. Part of the fun.
The other thing I read too is that you've worked with some famous people. You've done some with some bands, or how did that come about?
Yeah, so it's I'm really happy about my decision going to Berkeley because they have all those, currently active professors and teachers who work with big name artists, like legendary artists, and themselves are legendary, So if you go to Berkeley and if you are keen to be involved in those guest artists that they invite, then you get to work with those big name artists. So that was my first big work with those popular artists. But after I graduated Berkeley, I also got invited to be part of those big production, or I got to work with those artists because their keyboardist happened to be my friend, something like that. So it's basically word of mouth because I went to Berkeley. So I'm really glad that I went to Berkeley.
Yeah, word of mouth, but also a really good trombone player and vocalist. So that helps too. The Berkeley name, but you have to know what you're doing too, right?
Yeah. I find it really. See, that's the difference between Japan and the US. I feel like in Japan, on the resume, you have to put your photo, you have to put your birth date, and you have to put your age. So for me, I'm not really young. I feel like in Japan, people would label with the age, and people would label with the experience of years of experience. So I'm relatively new in the industry. I haven't been in the industry for decades yet. So yeah, but in the US, they don't really care about your gender or age as much as the Japanese industry would do, I think.
Yeah.
So as long as you are skilled and you are ready to perform, then I feel like we have more chance to be involved in productions in this country.
Yeah, it's definitely in the US. It's definitely, they look more at skill when it comes, especially in entertainment and music and things like that. They want the best players on the recording, as opposed to, well, that person's too old. That person's too, no. They want the best sound. That's
Exactly.
it. Bottom line.
Yeah, exactly.
As long as you're bringing the product, they're bringing you in, and then you keep building it up and building it up.
Yeah,
that's great. That is great. Anything like, who's like the biggest celebrity you worked with?
Oof.
If you could think about it.
I think the biggest celebrity that I worked with, whom I didn't know before working with him, was Alejandro Sanz. He's a Spanish singer-songwriter who's known among all these Spanish-speaking countries, and he's won, I think, nearly 30 Latin Grammy Awards.
Wow.
And he's won Grammys also. And so it was interesting. We started rehearsing in Boston, but the show was going to happen in San Diego. It was during the presidential campaign back in 2016, and it was in summer. So it was, there's this certain tense in the air, and the show was at the outside near the border of Mexico and the U.S. and they had all these Latin artists, and the host was Univision, the TV network, and we got the stage outside. We had 8,000 audience at site, and they broadcasted radio and all TV networks. But we rehearsed maybe 2 months prior to San Diego, and we did the sound check the day before. But we only saw him on stage at the performance. He didn't even show up for sound check.
Wow. Oh, when you're that cool and that good, you can just walk on stage. I'm ready to go. You guys have to practice.
It's a good sign, he trusted us, I guess. And his music director was with us for the practice in Boston as well as the sound check. So I think he trusts the music director. And then the music director, worked enough with us.
He trusts the music director, and if the music director doesn't get it right, then he'll be finding another music director.
Yeah, basically.
But at least you got to rehearse, because the next thing I was going to ask you, were you really nervous? But I think after rehearsing and sound check, you probably felt a little bit better until he walked on stage, right?
Yeah. It was great. I remember the percussionist we had, who's from Brazil. She now works at the Late Late Show with Stephen Colbert. She's in there now. She's amazing.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
You do have another video.
Yes.
You want to show that?
Yes.
So let's show that to everybody. Wow, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about how that came about. That was Song of Naked.
Yeah, it's all again. It's a Japanese song, not traditional, but this is by the band that I really like. they are really jazzy, and they're very skillful, but they don't really show it as if they're doing something difficult. You know what I mean? It's really, they're just skilled.
They're
And
good.
yeah. But yeah, I made this arrangement originally for Berkeley project for as an assignment. I had to arrange an existing song with the horn section and string section, with keyboard, guitar, bass, drum set, and percussions. So, and then I came up with the song to be fitting to the assignment. And so at first I did the lead vocal, and then I made a rough recording with my friends in a classroom, and it was nothing. We just played them all together, and then play the song all together, and then maybe we run 1 hour, 2 hours until I'm like, okay, this is good. This is good enough. And then I really like the people who didn't know the original song seem to enjoy performing it. So that's a good sign. And I decided to re-record it just to, brush up, just to perfect it, basically. And then when I was about to leave Boston to LA back in 2016, that was late November, I think, I decided to make the video that I just showed. And that was, if you imagine November in Boston, and that was, some of them you could might be able to detect. It was at the public library, also on the Boylston Street, and the dancer was freezing because it was past 2 a.m. We met at 2 a.m. We started shooting like 3 a.m. and she, her dress was really basically for dancing summer. So we had brass, but we had a really exciting shooting. I love how it turned out.
Oh, it was beautiful, and this is a Ranger Yoshie.
Yes. Yeah. So in this recording, the final recording, I'm not performing at all because I wanted to focus on producing
and arranging. I love it. I love it. See, she's so well rounded. And it's true. That's what you need to succeed these days, especially in your industry. You have to be well rounded. You have to be able to do a little bit of everything.
Exactly.
Like you said, because the technology is there, and if you won't do it, somebody else is going to learn how to do it, and they'll get the gig.
Yeah, exactly. Have to have the balance of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now? So what is any future goals or things you want to do?
Yeah, so I've only released a single a few years ago, so I'm aiming to release more singles this year and next year, and hopefully an album.
Ooh,
because
nice.
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, and I started arranging those traditional Japanese songs last year. Yeah, so now I have enough songs to release album almost. So maybe until the end of this year, I'll arrange a few more, and by next year, I'll have enough material for album. So that's my current goal.
Awesome. Well, hopefully I'll get to hear it.
Yeah. I'll let you know.
I know her. She did this album. I know her. I talked to her. Want to watch this?
Yeah.
So finally, if anybody wants to learn more about you, Yoshie, where can they find some information? Website? Right. You have a website? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So my website is Yoshie, YOSHIE sorry, that's so Japanese. Yoshie music.com.
Awesome. Great. Well, Yoshie Nakayama, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
It was great to hear all about it. Some great music. I love music. So, and I wish you the best, and come back and tell us about this new album when it comes out.
I sure will. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that'll do it for Around Foxborough. Have yourself a great day.